Hello and welcome to another episode of No Boundaries, the podcast Mother and Daughter Edition. This is a podcast in which we, mother and daughter duo, have all sorts of conversations about all sorts of topics while always exploring our mother and daughter bond. And I'm the mother and my name is Anusha.
And I'm the daughter, and my name is Lulu. And today we're going to be speaking about a topic that relates to everyone, but specifically to people with anxiety or GAD, generalized anxiety disorder, which is something I have. So we'll be using my personal experience as well as my experience with psychiatrists to discuss this topic. But even if you don't have anxiety, it's still a very important topic. The other day, we saw TikTok University, about, and what was it, a neuropsychiatrist? Neurologist?
Neurologist, I think, neurospecialist.
And who explained that instead of looking at anxiety as being this, fear of, living or this fear of social situations, instead, anxiety is better described as an obsession with certainty and the need for certainty, which I think for everyone with anxiety you can definitely relate to. It's very true. But I think this is a bigger picture of everyone's life, this need for certainty, the need to feel secure, this idea that if I get the job that I want, I'll be happy. If I make this amount of money, then I'll be fine. And once I move out of my house, then I'll be fine. This idea of holding on to this goal and trying to reach that and thinking that if I reach this, I'll feel better, instead of being present in the here and now. We hold on to this idea of this future thing we're waiting for to fix everything. And shocker, spoiler alert, that's not going to work. Once you reach that goal, you're already going to forget that you're reaching that goal because there's already going to be a new goal to reach. It's an endless loop, an endless cycle. And even in everyday life, this need for certainty, the need to know what people are saying about you, know what people are thinking about you, knowing what's going on with your day, knowing what time you're going to go to a certain place. This idea that you need to always know what's going on in order to feel at peace. So that's what we're going to be tackling. So I think anxiety or not, it's definitely something a lot of people can probably relate to. So stay tuned for more of that. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe we start because you're so gracious to use, your personal experiences as an example. When did you realize, or how did you realize you were not just, stressed about things like friends, or oh my God, I'm stressed, but when did you realize it was more serious than that?
Well, first off, anxiety is generally a good thing, and it's so important to understand what anxiety means because everyone has anxiety, right? And that's why people with actual GAD don't get taken serious, because we all have anxiety. And basically, anxiety is good because it protects you, and it's your body basically going in a fight or flight mode, essentially. And it helps you protect yourself from dangerous situations or nerve-wracking situations. And going back in the days, obviously this would be if there's an animal and you have to defend yourself or you're being attacked. But now, I'm sure when you have a big presentation coming up in front of the class or in front of a big group, we're all going to get nervous. We're all going to get anxiety. If you have a big test going on with anxiety. And essentially it's good because it means you care. It means this is something you take serious. And it's important to be aware and be anxious because, yeah, you want to get a good grade in your test. You want to make sure you do good on presentation and get a certain job. So anxiety is not always a bad thing. I think what makes a difference when you have GAD like me, it's a constant thing where you more often have anxiety than you don't. Instead of pinpointing it to specific moments, like a presentation or an interview, that's a specific thing you're getting nervous about. It's every single thing, every day that you get nervous about, to the point where there's no more logic. You can't even tie it back to, oh, this is when you get anxious, so this is something you should avoid. No, it's everywhere, every day, but every decision you have to make, every slight decision that can have some type of uncertainty, it's anxiety immediately.
Like, for instance, what time should I leave the house to be in time for class?
Yes, that's something I'll literally be awake before I go to sleep, planning out the times, and as I'm waking up, I'll be thinking of that. And time management is a big thing for me. I get very anxious about time management, and it started with just myself, then it started with other people that I'm hanging out with, but it got to the point where in class, there was a class I had in the morning with 30 students. who I didn't know, and it got to the point where I was keeping track of what other students were late or absent or on time, and to the point where I could keep track, like, wait, this person's already late the third time, not even absent. They have 3 absences and they're out of class. So it's to the point where I was worried for other people's attendance, people that I don't speak to that have nothing to do with me, and I was, without even realizing, keeping track of people's attendance and stressing about, oh my gosh, this person is still not here. They already missed class last week. Like, wow. So it goes really far. But it basically, any decision that needs to be made, I have a bunch of anxiety with, but also any kind of uncertainty. So that's why people with anxiety, especially me, I don't like to be alone, and I don't like to be with my own thoughts, because silence is the scariest thing, because I'm uncertain. And basically, I constantly think people are mad at me, or that I did something to upset people, and it's super selfish. It's actually very selfish, but it's not. So if someone is like, if I were to meet up with someone and I see they're down, they're having a bad day, or they're not feeling good, my immediate thought is, I did something to make them mad. When it's like, it could be anything. It could be something happened with their family, with school. The world doesn't revolve around you, and I know that. But yet I can't help but think I did something wrong. And the weird thing with anxiety is that you're constantly only focused on other people and everyone else but yourself. But a lot of the traits, like this one, oh, I did something to upset them, it comes across selfish when you express these things, and when it's constantly, oh, girl, like, no one's mad at you. Like, you always think it's about you. So it's really weird how people with anxiety can often come across selfish when they're quite literally the opposite of selfish. So those are just some, like, I guess, fun things about anxiety. Well, not really fun, obviously, but to categorize it.
No, and it's so it's so interesting what you say, because you have to be very patient with someone with anxiety.
Yeah.
And I'm not a really patient person in general. I'm very fast-paced and fast in thinking. And I always have to, and because I absolutely have no anxiety whatsoever, like I just hardly ever get stressed. So it's a very tough learning process in us also working together, being mother and daughter, especially now that you're older and we're more like, of course it's a different relationship. It's not my little girl. I just tell what to do and I just, get her dressed and bring her to school. So also in our relationship and let's say friendship as mother and daughter, that's really, because I always think, what's wrong? Why are you being so weird? Come on, Lou, And I really have to, like yesterday was a good example that I realized, wait a minute, if you say, let's do this between this and this hour, it's better that I just ask, why don't we do early, really make sure that we do it the right way, that you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you get upset, and then if you get upset, I get, of course, upset, because I get annoyed that you're upset.
Yeah.
And you don't want that.
No.
So how do you handle that? Do all your friends know now?
Yeah, it's very difficult, and I think the big thing is that, especially dating someone with anxiety, it's very hard.
Ooh, yeah.
And the sad part is that I know how patient you have to be to date me because of my anxiety, and I know how draining it is. And very honestly speaking, I don't think I would be capable of dating someone with anxiety. And that's crazy because I have anxiety and I want people to date me. Hello, guys. Like, I'm dateable. But it's like, I don't think I could even do that. So I really respect everyone who dated me, because it's like, it's not for the weak. Like, I really don't think I could put up with that. Because it's very, you constantly have to reassure them about the same things every day. Yeah. And when you have anxiety, you're hyper focusing on body language. So as soon as I notice something's off or you might be a little different, it's immediately like panic mode, when it could be anything. Like, sometimes you just want to have a bad day. Sometimes you just want to not have to be talkative and all nice, and you want your partner to be there to be like, hey, it's okay. But instead you have a partner being like, what's wrong? Why are you acting like this? Are you mad at me? Did I upset you? Did I do something? It's like, girl, not right now. So it's definitely not easy to date someone with anxiety. And yeah, the best way to navigate it is obviously, in my experience, medication, being in therapy, and being with a partner who understands anxiety and is patient. Those are key things. And someone who's secure. If you're dating someone who's not secure, which is more tempting when you have anxiety, especially an avoidant person, because it's like this cat and mouse game, it's just not going to work. Like, you need to be with someone that's super secure, because not only will that motivate you to become secure, but it will also keep you in check. And I think the big problem with anxiety is that you can get in a cycle and spiraling thoughts and in a loop. And if I have someone tell me like, hey, like, you're spiraling, or hey, you're doing your anxious thing, it immediately, I snap out, and I'm immediately like, oh my gosh, I am doing that. Because I'm still self-aware at the end of the day. Like, it's not like I'm completely gone. But if I have
So even
someone,
if you're in a loop,
yes,
do you like sort of like, because I know with certain patients, my husband, her dad is psychiatrist, explained to me, for instance, people with OCD, they always know what they're doing, so they're in their loop, but they see themselves doing what they do outside of their loop. Do you witness what you're doing?
no, like it's like
So you're in it.
you're in it. I don't realize I'm doing it. But as soon as somebody says, "Hey, you're spiraling. Hey, you're doing it again. Hey, you're being anxious," I can immediately be like, "Oh," because you're so like worried about what other people think. So when people call that out, you're like, "Oh my gosh, I am being anxious." But if I have a toxic partner or an avoidant partner who instead gets annoyed that I'm doing my thing again, then it's only gonna make me feel justified that I'm doing this thing because look, they're being annoyed and that's exactly what I thought they were gonna do, and they're doing it. So then I get to be like, see, I knew you didn't like me. See, I knew you were gonna run away. See, I know you didn't care. But instead, if I have someone who's like, hey, babe, like, you're being anxious, like, let's take a moment to calm down, I'll be like, oh my gosh, I look crazy. I am being anxious. I do need to take a step back. So it's really important having somebody that understands it and is secure enough to instead of like engaging with your anxious questions and being like, no, babe, I never said, instead to be like, babe, you're being ridiculous. Like, literally, that's it. You need someone to really make you feel stupid, essentially. Because
in a sweet way, like
in a
nice to
sweet
the
way,
matter,
kind of in a
hard
way
to
where you're like, oh my gosh.
yeah, nice to the matter.
Yeah.
Hard to the matter, soft to the person, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, oh my gosh, you're so right. Like, I'm being ridiculous. So those are very important.
Okay, but
things.
that's partner. But
Yeah.
what about friends? Because friends could also, you know, especially your best friends who are also like in a shitty mood at some point, and they're like, Lulu, come on. So how do you handle that?
So the thing is that honestly, most of my friends, they only know I have anxiety because I'm very open about it and I talk about it. A lot of people have no idea that I have anxiety, and I think it's especially hard for my family, my closest friends, and my partner, because they're the ones who are firsthand actually like witnessing the anxiety. Most of my friends, they've never actually seen what it looks like for me to have anxiety. So I think the good thing with anxiety, you can mask a lot, you can hide a lot. So it's definitely something that you don't show. Like, people always think I'm super social, loud, outgoing. Even with presentations, they're like, "Oh, you're so comfortable public speaking."
Yeah.
But I'm literally frightened in the inside. So you're very able to hide it because you're so aware of how you're coming across, and you know how you want to come across. So I guess the good thing is that you can hide it easily. Doesn't mean it's not there. And I think the main problem with making friends when you have anxiety is yourself, because really easily you basically end up getting used by friends without them even knowing they're using you. And it's kind of this thing where if certain friends want to hang out, I'll push everything aside to hang out with them, even though they wouldn't do that for me, which is normal because you shouldn't push everything aside because somebody wants to hang out with you. But I'm so like, oh, my friend wants to hang out, I need to be there, blah blah blah. So I think, yeah, anxiety and friendship is just more a harm towards yourself. The other person wouldn't really notice it because you become a people pleaser and you go above and beyond doing all these things to be their friend, even though that friend has no idea you're doing all these things. But then you're also struggling with this idea like, wait, they wouldn't do all these things for me. But at the same time, I have to check myself and think, they never asked me to do all these things for them. Like, it's not normal, the amount of effort I put into this friendship. Like, it's not, I don't need to do that. No one asked me to do that.
That's another loop again.
Yeah.
So you go from loop to loop.
Basically.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. But now you have quite a few really good friends, right, at school, and your roommates.
Yeah.
So does that, I always call it the first circle, right? Your first circle of friends. Do they all know now? Do they know about it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so how do you then, do they sometimes check you like, Lulu, if you don't have time, it's okay? Or no, you pick a restaurant, or no, what do you want to do? How is that working now?
Not really. I think what I'm learning now in therapy and also becoming more confident, like, I think one important point is that I'm on medication, so that helps for me a lot. Like, before I was on medication, I was very like a nervous wreck all the time, and I think what medication did for me, I still have the same anxious thoughts and the loops, but not the physical symptoms. And the physical symptoms can really block you from doing it. Now, even though I still have the thoughts, because I don't have the actual physical symptoms, I'm always able to still push through and do it, which then helps my brain to understand, see, you can do it, and which slowly makes me more secure. And on top of that, for the first time ever, I'm completely happy in life with where I am. Like, I'm very happy with my career choices, how school's going, the friends I have, my financials. I'm happy with everything right now. So that is something I'm really blessed and lucky with.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Because when you're really happy with your life and you feel like you're really on the right track, because that's the idea of certainty, it definitely helps a lot. Like,
Yeah.
before I had the certainty, there was no way I could have been the way I am now. So yeah, having that certainty and finally finding what I want to do in life and being excited instead of nervous took away so much pressure. So yeah, and I think what I'm doing now in therapy a lot, which helps me with specifically my partner and my close friends, is, and my mom and family, is being able to address when I'm having anxious moments. So instead of trying to justify it and being like, this made me insecure, instead I'm trying to understand, no, this didn't make me insecure. I'm having an anxious loop, and saying it out loud. Because once you say it out loud, people know, and you can't really run from it, and you can't really. And then even if after that, if I try to justify it or try to argue it, they're already gonna know, okay, she's having an anxious moment. So instead of explaining why I'm sad or why I'm upset about something, I instead just say, okay, I'm having an anxious moment, I'm having anxious thoughts. And that way, close friends, they know not to engage then in my logic and instead let me figure it out. Because the most important thing is getting used to figuring out yourself. Because the good thing with my anxiety, right? If I'm insecure because I think my girlfriend doesn't love me, I can ask her and she's going to tell me, yes, of course I love you. And then I'm fine. So that's the thing. It's
but
just,
are you fine, or don't you get like
no,
in a loop?
then I'm
or maybe
fine.
she's
It's
lying.
like,
She looks weird. Her eyebrow didn't move. Or
yeah, I could. But essentially, when I'm insecure, the only person that can fix that is the person I'm insecure about. That person, if I think someone's mad at me, I won't breathe until that person tells me, hey, I'm not mad at you at all. Or until I find out, oh my God, they're not mad at me. They're just having a bad argument with their moms. But the whole idea is that I want to be able to get rid of this idea, oh, they're mad at me, oh, they don't love me, without them having to tell me. Yeah. So instead of saying, hey, I feel like you don't love me, or hey, I'm being insecure, instead I try to be like, I'm having an anxious moment, or I'm having an anxious loop, and instead I'm trying to sit with it and get over it by myself.
Wow. And how's that? Because I can imagine, especially like, because that's of course a question that follows that up. With your partner, you can ask, or with your friends, with your family. Yeah. But at work, for instance, because now you're also having like a great internship, you work as a babysitter, you can't just ask, your man, your supervisor all the time. So then, so this helps, right, with that as well, sitting. So can you give an example, like at work, for instance, or at your...
Yeah, at work it's a little different because... I think
internship.
This anxiety only is able to expand as much with people I'm really comfortable with and close with. I think when I'm at an uncomfortable situation, it's different. Like, you're able to mask it more. It's more the people really close to you that really get to see that side of you, like I said. And with those people, I get to tell them, like, hey, I'm feeling anxious. I'm having a bad moment.
A great example, I think, of that. Remember when we did your driving test?
Yeah. That was, I think, the day I had to take my driving test, I think that's the first day where my mom actually, like, witnessed what a loop like that looks like in someone's head. And I think it's the first time my mom was like, whoa, like, this must be very tiring.
Yeah. So Lulu had her driving test. And in New York City, that can happen really fast. I wanted to call someone from work. I thought, oh, great. Well, she's having a driver's test. I'll make a little work call. I couldn't even finish the work call, which would have been no longer than say 4 or 5 minutes, because she was already back. So I had never done a driving test in the United States or in New York City. So my first reaction was like, oh, that was kind of fast. Well, I hope it's positive, or we'll see. Not thinking anything of it. And I don't know if that kind of triggered the loop.
And you told me that even the other moms were like, oh, your daughter's one was very fast.
Yes. That's what did it for another parent was like, oh, that's fast. And I said that to her, like, oh, yeah, even the other. But I'm, like I said, I have no anxiety. So I'm always like, well, we'll see, right? We'll have to wait till 5 p.m. because then they're going to post it online.
And quickly to put in perspective, most driving tests, they tell you right after you do the test. All my friends, they got told right after the test. But for some reason, this testing center, after you finish, he's like, okay, at 6 p.m. your results will be posted online. So I had no idea if I was going to pass or not, which is the worst situation for an anxiety person.
Yeah, so for me, that's, since I don't have anxiety, I'm like, okay, well, I'll forget about it till 6 p.m. Let's live life. I thought, let's go have lunch, let's have fun. And Lulu got into a loop. And I had never seen this before. And all the way driving back home, at home, and it was when we were home, it wasn't even 1 p.m. And I literally thought, like, how is she I was seriously worried for her heart rate, for her blood sugar, for her, for everything. Like she's not gonna survive till 6 p.m. That's how that loop was, like literally in my arms. I had to hold her at some point, like hold her tight, like how we're gonna do this. And that's the first time I realized, wow, this is what it's like.
Yeah.
And I could see like physically, like I literally felt her heart rate, and I really thought she's gonna get it, like a real panic attack. We might have to, I was afraid she would like stop breathing from stress. And of course she passed.
Barely, but I passed.
She passed. Who cares if it's... And that's also a meme. I was like, hey, if I pass barely, I passed, and I'm still happy.
And that's another thing.
And I was afraid she would get another loop because
I did get another loop because I barely passed, and there was mistakes in there that I didn't think were mistakes. So then I started spiraling about that. And my driving test guy, he was really rude and scary.
Yeah. There were all these guys who were all relaxed, and I was like, oh,
there's all these cool young guys that were chill. I got the one old guy who came with his suitcase and glasses and who took his job way too serious.
I thought, I hope we get one of those. We were already laughing at them, like, hey guys, ha ha ha. And then no, we got the strictest, like most serious, like, button-up guy came to us. But you did pass. Mm-hmm. So I was like, celebrate! And she was still not celebrating.
Yeah, no, it was really bad. And it was like, no matter what my mom tried to distract me with, I can't get distracted. And that's a moment where the only thing that could get me out of that loop was that 6 p.m. test result. Whether it was good or bad, that was the only thing going to get me out of the loop. So, yeah, what I'm working on now is not relying on the certainty, but instead living with the uncertainty and embracing the uncertainty. And, yeah, just trying to remind myself of logic. Like, hey, I'm not going to know until 6 p.m. So, yeah, I can stress and worry. But there's absolutely no point because it's not going to make the time go faster and it's not going to change my result. Like, I'm not going to know. And I need to just wait. And that's what I'm really trying to work on.
And I even said, I guess, the wrong thing because I said to her, like, okay, let's analyze the worst case scenario. What if you don't pass? Because for me, that always helps. I'm like, will I still be alive? Yes. Will the people I love still love me? Yes. Will I still be able to breathe and walk and, enjoy life? Yes. But for her, that was the completely wrong thing to say. Yeah. Like, let's analyze the worst case scenario. And it got worse when I said that. So what is the tip for people who are around someone who gets into a loop? So the only thing that works is to say, like, get out of it. Because this was, like, there are loops that make no sense. Like, of course I love you, right? But this loop kind of made sense because, we didn't know what was going to happen. What is then for parents,
and I think
for loved ones?
With anxiety, a lot of the loops do make sense. It's just not to the extent that you're looping in that it makes sense.
So then how do loved ones, friends who are around you, how should we handle the person who is going through that loop at that moment?
That's a very hard question.
Yeah.
I think as hard as it is, I think not to reassure them, honestly. Like, you need to get through it by yourself if you're in a loop. Like, you can't rely on people calming you down. You need to, like, really get through it yourself, as hard as it is. And I think it's better in those moments to hear somebody say, like, hey, like, yeah, it's okay to feel anxious. You don't know the result. But at the same time, there's no point in stressing because you're not going to know until 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times when people are empathetic to me and helping me out, as much as I love that in a moment, it feels good. It does kind of enable my feelings because it's like, I don't know. Yeah. It's so hard and it sounds so insensitive, but it's with these kind of loops, you just can't be too sympathetic or empathetic because at the end of the day, you don't want them to just keep going into these loops and then relying on you to, like, fix it for them.
Which is so counterintuitive because if your child, or
of course, you want
to hold, you want to hug, you want to kiss it and make it better.
Even not long ago with my partner, I had to tell her to not ask me what's wrong because I told her it's just an anxious thing and there's no logic and I don't want to tell you why I got insecure because then I'm going to feel like I'm justifying why I got insecure and then I know you're going to telling me I shouldn't be insecure about that, and I don't want that because the whole point is that I'm going to sit with it myself. But then she was kind of like, well, like, I also just want to know because I like to gossip and I'm nosy and I like to know what's going on in your head. And I was like, So it's definitely not really always as easy. Yeah,
that's really funny.
Yeah.
Wow. And for parents, I want to say it's always difficult to not blame yourself. Her dad, my husband, is a psychiatrist, and we didn't know as a child that she had that tendency, right? We went to like a parents-teacher conference, and this teacher, very experienced, older teacher, said to us like, hey guys, I want to sit you down. I want to talk to you about your daughter. We're like, huh, what? Our daughter? What's wrong? She's like, popular, funny, performing, like this really extrovert, super social girl,
like,
right?
Very extrovert.
Yeah. So what's the problem? And she sat us down and kind of was strict with us and saying like, I think she has anxiety and this and that. And she started giving all these examples. And my husband, who is a psychiatrist, literally almost laughs in her face. He tried to keep his composure. And when we laughed, we both like, this is the most ridiculous, because she's probably getting old, time for her to retire. Ridiculous. That was our response.
Yeah. And that was in my like middle grade, because it's different in the Netherlands. And then in my upper grade, again, the teacher was very, I'll never forget when we didn't have any exams throughout elementary school, which is 8 years long, except in your 8th year. That's your only time where you get an exam. And all those 8 years, you basically work towards that big final exam before you go to high school. And that's the first time where my anxiety got so uncontrollably bad. It was horrible. And I'll never forget when we were sitting in the class to take the exams. They make your desks all separate. Everyone has to sit there. And the teacher came to me and she saw my hands and she was like, Lulu, like, did you do that? And I had scratched my entire hands and wrist open. I didn't even know. That's how anxious I was. That's like a physical symptom of anxiety. And I had no idea. And she was like, that's when she realized, okay, yeah, you have anxiety.
Yeah.
And then again, they had a conversation with my parents. And for the longest time, we were all convinced, including myself, that this was a test anxiety thing, where it's just only the anxiety to like fail your test and that it's only happened during tests.
Because she was a high achiever. She always wanted to be best in everything. So we thought, oh, that's just part of high achievement stress,
At first it was just a test anxiety thing. And then once puberty hit, it just became an everything thing. So I guess, trust your teachers who see your child very often.
Yeah. And the lesson, because that's also very known for instance, girls with ADHD, girls with certain forms of autism. Girls are really good at masking, because society demands so much more already from young girls. Because we live, of course, in patriarchy. So girls at a really young age, like small little girls, already know, I have to make sure I do everything right. So she was extremely good at masking. And that's also a reason why my husband we literally didn't notice it. And plus, you can be also, I think it's important also to tell parents, you can be an extrovert, right? And love people.
No, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Like the big difference between generalized anxiety disorder and social anxiety disorder. They're two different disorders. And social anxiety disorder is way more social and way more, I guess, the stereotypical anxiety. But generalized anxiety disorder is way more internal, and that's more someone's internal struggles. So you don't get to see it. Doesn't mean they're socially awkward. Doesn't mean they're introvert. And I think that's the big misconception that people have about anxiety. Like, there's so many people with GAD and you have no idea they have it. And you obviously have high functioning and low functioning anxiety. And a lot of people with generalized anxiety disorder also have major depressive disorder symptoms. So those can be mixed up. And those are people that are going to be more lower functioning, perhaps. But I don't have any depressive symptoms. I just have anxiety. So I'm essentially very high functioning. So you can't always tell that people have anxiety. No. Basically.
Yeah. And, I guess for me also, be patient. We also had the other week like a little loop thing. And I don't know, to learn how to handle it and talk about it. I think that's really important that you're able to talk about it maybe after or, when there's a quiet moment. And, as we always say, everybody's allowed to make mistakes. Mistake is okay. It's important how you handle it afterwards, right? Talk about it, apologize, try to find a way. We're always learn. Every day you can learn. Every day you can do better.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we reached the end of our episode.
Yep. Don't hyper-focus with certainty. Life is full of uncertainty, and we're gonna have to find peace with that. And trust me, like, don't ever get in that mindset where it's like, once I do this, then I'm going to feel better. Because you won't.
No.
And instead, try to enjoy the moments you're in and see what you can tackle right now instead of focusing on the future too much.
Yeah, being in the moment. That's it. This is the only moment that you're certain of, that you're sitting here. That's it. As they say, one day at a time, one moment at a time, right? Okay, we'll put some resources in our newsletter. Please don't forget to subscribe to. We have a great newsletter with all the resources we always put, and we'll put also in the video of the TikTok that we watched.
So.
And let us know what else you want us to always talk about in one of our other episodes. And as we always end our episodes, I love you, I love me, and we love y'all, you or y'all.